Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Escape Plan. Escape Plan is the latest Vita Lasada game. It plays from 1 to 5 players. I haven't played the one-player version of the game. The one-player version has 2 other players, I believe. The 2-player version of the game has a fake player. It really needs you to have 3 players or more to play this well. I had a 4-player game of it last night, which I found really enjoyable. I have played it 2-player with the fake player. Fake player, by the way, is brought in from Kanban. It's the Sandra character, so she's in there and just does stuff and takes things out as if another player was there. But I much prefer to play games with actual players, not with this fake player idea. So having that is a good thing, but if you are to play Escape Plan, I suggest trying to get at least 3, if not 4 or 5 players together in order to play it. This game is probably the lightest of the Vita Lasada games that I have or that I'm aware of. In essence, you're moving. You can move through 3 different things or areas of the city, I guess. You need to get to a location within that movement. Anytime that you leave a hex tile, you have to avoid the police that are stuck on that hex tile, and then you action the property or whatever icon you've stopped on. That sounds really straightforward. Playing the game, it's a thick rulebook. There's approximately 20 pages in the rulebook, which sounds really hefty. A lot of those pages are taken up with examples of this is how this rule works, but it's that question mark of how much of this do we actually need? And the answer is we need it all. In order for you to play this game, you need to understand those rules. The problem is, or the issue with having this large rule set, and it's a relatively simple game in terms of movement, do a thing, next person's turn. In order to go to different places, each of the different places you will treat differently. And so that's where the rules come in. That's where the majority of that rule set happens, is in the, if I go to a business, I will do this. If I go to a shop, I will do these other things. And little elements like that, it's worthwhile knowing and understanding. However, having said all that, there are a couple of locations on the board that I find that I've never actually gone to. There are a couple of ways of travel which I haven't used, simply because I haven't felt a need to use them. The map is built up over the 3 days, and that's right, the game only takes 3 days. In essence, you could play this entire game with having 9 turns only in your entire game. You could potentially have up to, I think it's 15 turns. So there's 2 kind of possible extra turns on each day that you could do. However, each of the games I've played, we've only really managed to take those extra turns once, maybe twice. So there's the ability to have those extra turns. Using them or actually having them is another element altogether, and may just come down to the way I'm playing, the way the people around me are playing, but it's something to be aware of, that there's not a whole bunch of turns on this game, but there's a heck of a lot that can happen during those turns. The essence of the game is that you are in a city. The city will gradually grow through each day. We'll add more tiles to the map. Your job through that time is to, on each day, go to various locations to get income. Each of the location types, there are 3 of them. 1 is safe houses, 2 of them are different industry types. Within each of those 3 lists, there are 3 things. So it's in essence 9 things that you could visit to get money. 1 out of each set of those 3 things will allow you to take money straight away. But every time you go to a business, you'll take a little cube off your board and put it down to say, I'm getting those points later, or I'm taking that money now. And each time you take a cube off your board, that reduces the amount of money you'll be able to get in. So making your mind up whether to go to a business to take immediate income, or whether to go to a business to have the final scoring income, is actually a really important idea and a really important thought to think through. So the timing on when you do each aspect of the game, that's actually what a lot of the game is about. Now, on top of all of that, there are shops which have little lockers in them. So you need to get the matching colored key to get into the locker. And you can only get into certain colored lockers if you have done a certain amount of stuff, because it's looking for these other cards which you'll get for doing stuff, but if you've got a lot of them, it will make it easier to get to those harder lockers. Or if you've moved up this, the track of how much the police are looking for you, that will help you get into those lockers. But that track has negative points on at the end of the game. There's a real crunchy balance to this game that comes from just that idea of the higher I go up there, the easier it's going to be to get stuff, the easier it is to put stuff in, but the less points I'm going to get, I'm going to lose a whole bunch of points, so I need to find a way to get myself pushed down that track as well. That track also tells you the order of play for the next day. So being kind of at the top end of it allows you to go first, but you'll lose points if you get out. So there's that whole thing. There's so many different little elements on this game that once you get your head around them, you know what you're doing. It all works. And this is what I find is so wonderful about the Vita Lasada games, is that they just work. Yeah, they're crunchy and you've got to think, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with each thought. But if you break these games down, you actually only have a handful of things you can do. You're choosing between that and that. Once you've made your choice between that and that, you're then branching out to that and that. Similar on this game, on Escape Plan, you're making a decision to go to a location to get this, and this. I need this, and this in order to do those things over there. That's where this game comes into its own. I found that there's been a lot of these kind of escapey kind of games come out in the last year or so. I've deliberately not played them. I don't want to play them. I back this because it's Vita Lasada. I fear if his name was not involved in it, I probably wouldn't have got on top of this one either. But I back this because of Vita Lasada, and it feels like one of his games. It feels with that crunchiness, even though it is the lighter of the games that he's put out, it still feels like it's got a little bit of crunchiness going on to it and a lot of thought. And look, the time that's allowed for this game, it says it's an hour to 2 hours. We took 2.5 hours on it last night with 4 players. It does play up to the 5 players. So I'll leave that to you to think about if that's going to make it a 3-hour game with 5 players, or if you can actually just move and move and move and move. I fear that the numbers on these boxes is very much okay, if you just are going and not thinking, this is how long the game should take. So don't think, play, go, have fun. The other thing that's really worthwhile keeping in mind, and is actually really important to keep in mind, is that there is a cost to exit. So if you get to the exit, but you don't have enough money to get out of the city, you don't get out of the city. If you don't get out of the city, no matter what you have done throughout the entire game is worth nothing. You must get out of the city, you must escape the city in order for any money that you've managed to accrue to become viable. If you're the first person to hit that exit point and get out, it's free. You can just do it. But if you're later down the track, it could cost you 10 money to be able to actually exit the board. I found that I was playing a game with my daughter last weekend, and she got out first. I needed to spend 10 money to get out. I could only find a way to get up to 9 money. No matter what I did, I couldn't get across that 10. So it didn't matter how much I had throughout the whole game. I'd lost the game right then. It's frustrating. Don't misunderstand me. It is frustrating, but it's one of those things to be, if you're aware of it, you can put the money aside. So what I found last night when I was playing with 4 players is I got to day 2 or partway into day 2, and I just pulled 10,000 aside, or 10 money aside, and put it over to the side, not to be touched, and then just use the little amount to be able to purchase whatever I need to purchase. Now, I still got out first, but I had that money there just in case. I think it's probably worthwhile knowing what those numbers are. It's on a little card so you can see what's going to have to be paid on the way out, but knowing what's coming up is actually really important. There's nothing worse than half the table getting to that exit and not having enough money to actually be able to exit. Look, I think that's enough about Escape Plan for the moment. Please go ahead, watch my gameplay, watch my Gamesplanation to get a feel for how this game actually plays on the table and if you'll like it or not like it. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplaned, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.